Hi everybody, I'm Ness Hughes, the Assistant Pastor at St Andrew's, Roseville, and I am taking us through day 3 of the daily devotionals from the book of Ecclesiastes. This is day 3 of 5. And just by way of summarising where we're at so far, I thought I'd read Ecclesiastes 2 verse 14, which says, "The wise have eyes in their heads while the fool walks in the darkness. But I came to realise that the same fate overtakes them both." And so this is the dilemma of the teacher, the wise one who is the author of this book, who's exploring how to find meaning in life when misfortune seems to be random and success or failure seems to be haphazard. And so he has a look at all of the activities under the sun and concludes that it's meaningless. But then we took a turn, didn't we, in chapter 3 yesterday? And everything under heaven was perfect in its time, made beautiful in its time. And we had a look at that verse that talks about eternity being set on our hearts. And that's why there's a frustrated experience on earth, because actually our desires are formed to be in heaven, where those things are all set right. So today we're going to finish the last sort of point of what I'm going to say, which I'm going to do over 3 days. So then what? So the perspective shifts from under the sun to under heaven. Everything is good under God. So then what? What do we do? Because this book, which is wisdom literature, does certainly have some wise advice for living the godly life with that reality. So I'm going to make 3 points over each of the next 3 days. The first one is abandon your pride and accept the limitations of humanity on earth. Doesn't sound too upbeat, but it's handy. Day 2, enjoy life. Be grateful for God's blessings and care for those who are in need or oppressed. There's a big theme of justice in this book. And the last one is revere and worship God. There's nothing better than to fear the Lord, and I'll explain that on our final day together. But today, abandon your pride and accept limitations. I'm going to read from chapter 5, and I'm going to skim through some of chapter 5. Chapter 5 verse 2 says, in the second half, "God is in heaven and you are on earth." And so this is an important realization for us. I think we can be fooled into thinking that we are really, really important, and we're important to God. We're loved and purposed by God, but we can overestimate our position here on earth. And this is about reordering that. One lesson I heard somebody preach on this particular topic, they said, life is full of good things, but we expect eternal meaning from them. So things like a steady career, even a career that you like, using your skills. Maybe they're meaningful relationships like a best friend or a marriage or having children. Maybe it's establishing a great home or any of these things that are really, really good things. And the mistake is actually trying to draw out of those good things eternal meaning. They can't offer them. Actually, only an eternal relationship with our Heavenly Father will bring about that eternal satisfaction. And so it's not about diminishing these good things to nothing, but it's about actually accepting the limitations they have to offer us in our lives. God is in heaven, you are on earth. And so our eternal desires for meaning and purpose are good, but they're well placed when they're found in our relationship with God. Now, with that, Ecclesiastes has a lot of practical teaching when it comes to specifically money and wealth, because I think that's a place where we forget the limitations of earthly things. And so I'm going to read some of that to you quickly now. 5, 10 and 11. "Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to their owners except to feast their eyes on them?" I don't think I need to explain too much about how materialism is a false economy, a false good. Of course, some basic needs are important to everybody, but this is talking about wealth and abundance and that over and above that which meets our basic daily needs. Jim Carrey, you know, that famous comedian actor, Dumb and Dumber, and all the movies that I'm sure we've all watched, very highbrow. He famously says this: I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they've ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. I think these wealths and successes that we can have on earth, accumulating stuff, is meaningless. It has a limitation in terms of how it can make us happy. Let me read on in chapter 5. This is from verse 13. I've seen a grievous evil under the sun, wealth hoarded to the harm of its owners, or wealth lost through some misfortune, so that when they have children, there's nothing left for them to inherit. Everyone comes naked from their mother's womb, and as everyone comes, so they depart. They take nothing for their toil that they can carry in their hands. This too is a grievous evil. As everyone comes, so they depart. And what do they gain, since they toil for the wind? All their days they eat in darkness, with great frustration, affliction, and anger. And so I just want to finish today by reiterating the point. We need to abandon our pride, remember who we are, the order of things, and to accept the limitations actually of what our earthly things have to offer. That's not new news to us, but I think just that wise advice. Are we looking for eternal meaning out of things that are earthly things? That will be a chasing after the wind, and that's what Ecclesiastes is teaching us. Even actually a search for immortality in trying to leave a fortune to our children, which might sound like a really honourable thing to do. Even Ecclesiastes addresses that and says that too is a chasing after the wind. It's actually a search for immortality in the wrong place. That sense of wanting to leave a legacy and something worthwhile behind. Even that's a false economy. So I leave that with you. I'm going to finish by reading 6:12, which brings it together. For who knows what is good for a person in life during the few and meaningless days they pass through like a shadow? Who can tell them what will happen under the sun after they are gone? And so that's our first bit of advice. Since we get the proper order and perspective in place, the first thing we do in terms of our good earthly living is to abandon our pride and accept our limitations. There's better news tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.